The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Breadbasket costs rise. Global factors lead the government to approve more price hikes. A second COVID booster shot now available for some groups as the CDC moves the Bahamas back to level 2 travel health notice. And it is May. That means it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We are talking about mental health in the Bahamas. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking with BPL and Carolec about their upcoming conference. Get the details about that. But first, it's time for the Overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, the government has approved higher prices for several breadbasket items as many Bahamians continue to grapple with the already high cost of living. The items are cooking oil, corned beef, evaporated milk, flour, and margarine. The price increases went into effect yesterday. While noting that he did not have the exact figures, Economic Affairs Minister Michael Hakita said the prices increased by a matter of cents. The Ministry of Health and Wellness announcing the rollout of second booster shots for some individuals. The shots are available 4 months after the first booster shot for individuals age 50 and older and individuals 12 and older who are moderately to severely immunocompromised. The ministry says that second shots are also available to adults who received a single dose of Johnson & Johnson vaccine and a booster of J&J. This comes as the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention moving the Bahamas from a level 1 to a level 2 on its travel health notice. A level 1 indicates that a country has a low level of COVID-19, and a level 2 indicates a moderate level. The move just less than a month after the Bahamas was lowered to level 1. Speaking about the change, Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper telling reporters yesterday that the numbers have been tracking upwards in the country. But he says this is not different from what's been seen throughout the pandemic, as there have been peaks and valleys. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force on heightened alert for Haitian migrants due to a policy change relating to asylum seekers in the United States and an increase in unrest in Haiti. That's according to Commodore Dr. Raymond King. He says there are certain pull and push factors. The political, social, and economic conditions in Haiti are push factors, and he says similar conditions in Cuba represent push factors. The principal at L.W. Young Junior High hit by a student. That's according to Director of Education Marcellus Taylor. Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson said the incident happened during a fight between two students. She says there was an incident between two female students, and the principal and others tried to intervene, and the principal was slapped by one of the students. Director Taylor assured that the situation was under control, and he said the student will face the appropriate action. His version of what happened was a little bit different from Wilson's, but apparently nobody was injured. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe says the government is in advanced stages of establishing a national forensic lab. Monroe says the police force conducts forensic services, but some of the Bahamas' forensics need to be outsourced. The Bahamas is unable to conduct its own DNA analysis. Monroe says it's also unable to conduct some level of chemical and specimen analysis. Monroe says the government wants to have a full-service facility. He suggested that the current system of outsourcing means that Bahamian requests are sometimes put on the back burner. And the autopsies of 3 Americans found dead at Sandals Emerald Bay Resort in Exuma were conducted yesterday. However, the findings have not been made public. We're told the process continues, as does the investigation. Health Minister Michael Darvels led a team on another trip to Exuma yesterday. According to Acting Prime Minister Chester Cooper, the purpose of the trip was to do some additional work in relation to the investigation. Overseas, Ukraine stopped the flow of Russian natural gas today through a hub that feeds European homes and stoves, while Kyiv's military claiming it made some gains in grinding battles near a key northeastern city. In 11 weeks, the war has played out on battlefields in Ukrainian towns and cities, but also in energy and financial markets, as Ukraine's allies in the West have sought to deprive Russia of money needed to fund the war with sanctions and energy embargoes. The practical impact of Wednesday's gas cutoff for European households was not immediately clear. Ukraine's pipeline operator said it would switch supply to another hub, and an analyst said transit should not be affected. But Russia's state-owned giant Gazprom indicating some fall-off. It said it was sending gas supplies to Europe through Ukraine in the amount of 72 million cubic meters, apparently down 25% from the day before. And a female journalist for Al Jazeera shot and killed while covering an Israeli raid in the occupied West Bank town. And a reporter who was wounded in the incident blamed Israeli forces, while Israel claimed there was evidence the two were hit by Palestinian gunfire. The well-known Palestinian reporter for the broadcaster's Arabic language channel, who's also a U.S. citizen, was shot and died soon afterward. Another Palestinian journalist was hospitalized in stable condition after being shot in the back. The Qatar-based network interrupted its broadcast to announce the deaths. In a statement flashed on its channel, it called on the international community to condemn and hold the Israeli occupation forces accountable for deliberately targeting and killing their colleague. Al Jazeera said, quote, "We pledge to prosecute the perpetrators legally, no matter how hard they try to cover up their crime, and bring them to justice." In sports, the Bahamas Triathlon Association will host its national championships this weekend. It's going to be Sunday at Jaws Beach, and the first portion of the nationals, which encompasses swimming, gets underway at 6 a.m. The meet is a Carifta and Commonwealth Games qualifying event. The 2022 Carifta Triathlon and Triathlon Championship slated for September 23rd and 24th. in Bermuda. The Commonwealth Games will be held. Well, the Commonwealth Games will be held July 28th through August 8th in Birmingham, England. PTA President Dorian Rhodes says he's happy the national championships are returning for the first time since the COVID pandemic forced a disruption in sports 2 years ago. From the NBA, Devin Booker scoring 28 points, and the Phoenix Suns rout the Dallas Mavericks 110-80 for a 3-2 lead in their Western Conference semifinal. In the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat rolling past the Philadelphia 76ers 120-85 in Game 5 to take a 3-2 lead there as well. And the Maple Leafs beating the Lightning in NHL hockey action, taking a 3-2 lead in their playoff series. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Your first look at weather brought to you by BTC. Here's what's happening. We've got a lingering frontal boundary meandering across the southeast Bahamas. It's interacting with a deep-level low-pressure system just to the east of the Carolinas now, and that's going to trigger showers and thunderstorms over a small portion of the area today. Meanwhile, hazardous boating conditions will continue as the surface low generates moderate to large swells that will impact Atlantic-exposed islands through tonight. So, there are special warnings. Boaters in the northwest Bahamas urged not to venture far from port, and beachgoers should stay out of the water due to life-threatening swells, rough surf, and dangerous rip currents impacting Atlantic exposures. And motorists and pedestrians along Atlantic shorelines in the northwest Bahamas should proceed with caution, especially along the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama and the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera. Your forecast for today for the northwest Bahamas, we're expecting a mix of sun and clouds, warm and breezy conditions with a few occasionally light showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with a stray shower or two possible tonight. Boaters should not venture far from port again due to swells. Winds north-northwest to north-northeast at 15 knots today, shifting north to northeast at 10 to 15 knots tonight. Seas 3 to 5 feet near shore and in sheltered areas, but building 8 to 11 feet along Atlantic exposures in large north to northeasterly swells. For the central southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy and warm with isolated showers and thunderstorms near the front, mainly across the southeast Bahamas through tonight. Small craft cautions in effect due to swells. Expect gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Winds variable at 10 knots or less, seas 1 to 3 feet near shore and in sheltered areas, but building 4 to 7 feet along Atlantic exposures in moderate northerly swells. Temperatures today, highs getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning, brought to you by BTC. With BTC Business, you get more than reliable business connectivity. They give you the smart solutions you need to reinvent your business and thrive so you can come back stronger and more connected than ever before. BTC knows running a business is more than a full-time job. With their new 24/7 digital help desk, BTC is standing by to solve any technical issue you may encounter in getting the job done, and by your side, helping to promote your business to a new audience online. Call today 302-7200 or visit business.btcbahamas.com.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news, smart talk all day, all decade.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
Switch for better when you move your mortgage to Scotiabank. Leave behind that old mortgage plan and open the door to a low interest rate. No payments for up to 2 months and cash back of 2.5% of the mortgage amount up to US $10,000. And guess what? It gets better. Apply for your Scotiabank credit card and enjoy a low 9.99% introductory rate for the first 6 months. Switch for better and upgrade your mortgage today with Scotiabank. Offer ends June 30th, 2022.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Switch for better when you move your mortgage to Scotiabank. Leave behind that old mortgage plan and open the door to a low interest rate. No payments for up to 2 months and cash back of 2.5% of the mortgage amount up to US $10,000. And guess what? It gets better. Apply for your Scotiabank credit card and enjoy a low 9.99% introductory rate for the first 6 months. Switch for better and upgrade your mortgage today with Scotiabank. Offer ends June 30th, 2022.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and on BTC Flow Channel 612. You can also tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/morning. I think I said that already, right? You can text us 422-4796. It's Wednesday. boy. Standard reply on our BTC text line. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Chester Robarts. Chester Robarts, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us as always.
Good to be here.
You look dressed and ready to go.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Coming up this morning, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and as we said yesterday, we're going to be talking about this quite a bit throughout the month. And today we're going to have a in-depth look at what we're facing here in the Bahamas. We know we've got many, many, many challenges, and they seem to have increased since the pandemic, or since the pandemic. And we're going to find out where we are exactly today. And later in Morning Blend Business, BPL and Carolec have a special conference. They're going to tell us about that coming up. So a lot to get to on this Wednesday morning, but let's begin with what's in the news. And in the news, big headline in the Nassau Guardian, breadbasket costs rise. Global factors lead the government to approve more price hikes. Our Jasper Ward writing about this. The government has approved higher prices for several breadbasket items as many Bahamians continue to grapple with the already high cost of living. The items include, they are cooking oil, corned beef, evaporated milk, flour, and margarine. Economic Affairs Minister Michael Alkitis says the prices increased by a few cents. He said yesterday, quote, when retailers of price-controlled items experience a rise, let's say it costs them more to import something, they have to get permission from Consumer Affairs to adjust their prices. So what they have to do is they have to present documentation to show that the cost for them importing these things has gone up, and then they apply the margin, which is fixed, so they can get approval for a new maximum price. So the process is they make an application, they get the approval, the minister has to sign it, and we have to publish it in the Gazette because we have to advise the public. So, and that's what happened here. Bahamas, like much of the world, has been struggling with rising consumer prices since late last year. In March, the Central Bank of the Bahamas said domestic consumer price inflation rose to 2.3% in the last quarter of 2021, an increase compared to the 0.2% registered during the same period in 2020. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has projected that consumer prices in the Bahamas will increase by 7.3% this year. Now, SuperValue owner Rupert Roberts told the Nassau Guardian yesterday, quote, it's really a world in chaos and we fight it every day. Roberts says that before Christmas he spoke with Alkitis and told him the government needed to consider what placing VAT on breadbasket items will mean given rising costs globally. Roberts recalled, quote, he asked me how long it will last, when it will level out. I told him I think it's going to keep increasing for the rest of the year. Of course, I didn't have any inkling about Russia then. I didn't know the two biggest cooking oil countries would go out of business, Russia and Ukraine. So fuel, cooking oil, and then, of course, wheat and flour. So it's worse than I told him that it's going to be. Robert says he hopes inflation slows down by year's end. He added, quote, we're afraid that it's going to keep increasing right through this year, and we're hoping to level out and the world will straighten out and the supply chain, the manufacturing and freight rates start leveling out. But that's a wild guess. So that's on top of the increases we're seeing at gas stations and other places. Some Bahamians have complained about the government's decision to reintroduce VAT on breadbasket items in January, and that this has been an additional burden, notwithstanding the fact that VAT on other items was reduced from 12% to 10%. In a statement yesterday, F&M Deputy Leader Shannon Don Cartwright said the government's announcement that approval has been given to increase prices on multiple breadbasket items continues to highlight the magnitude of the struggle of thousands of poor, working, and middle-class Bahamians. He said, quote, it rings even louder the need to eliminate VAT on breadbasket items urgently. In the midst of skyrocketing food costs and an historic inflationary environment that shows no sign of relenting, the government remains defiant, refusing to bring much-needed relief to the Bahamian people by saying VAT on breadbasket items is here to stay. And he says, quote, the plight of the Bahamian people continues to be challenged by more ominous clouds of increased consumer prices, greater tightening of the global supply chain, and fuel costs rising to now an average of $6.30 a gallon. Halkitis, though, is defending the decision on VAT. He said that, quote, we are living in some extraordinary times. We have this inflation caused by global events and exacerbated by recent events with disruptions in the world's food supply. Our position remains the best policy is to have a VAT at a flat rate with no minimal exemptions. That is the best policy. It's been tried, studied, and it remains. The best policy is to keep a simplified system and give assistance to those who need it. Otherwise, you undermine your system. Halkitis says there's not much the government can do to assist people as prices continue to increase. He said he hopes the rising costs stabilize soon. Okay, let's get your reaction to that. Give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796.
I mean, the IMF's latest Article 4 consultation report pretty much says the same thing that the government keeps saying. And that is that the price increases and inflation should simply just pass through to the consumer. And that the best thing the government can do is help the most vulnerable during the time with whatever assistance we have available and write it out.
But how long? Again, right? It keeps changing. It looks like it's going to be at least the rest of this year.
Yeah.
And we see it. We see it almost every day. You go to the store. Prices are ticking up a little bit, and wow.
Who's crying for government to intervene the most, though?
Not everybody, no?
Is it everybody?
You think it's what, just the politicians, the
No.
opposition? Who is it?
Well, them. And maybe some middle-class people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really know what the poor are saying.
Mm-hmm. What is the point you're making? What is that means that
the people who probably could afford to make adjustments to their lifestyle to weather the storm are asking for the handouts.
What? You think the middle class can afford this?
To make adjustments? Sure.
As in to not buy anything anymore?
No, but come on. That's not the answer.
I mean, I don't know. I think the middle class has really made some significant adjustments,
but the problem is bigger than what I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about a now thing. We've not built a system to weather anything, to be honest. The governments have not been in a place to weather any kind of storm that causes financial hardship to people. Hurricanes, droughts, whatever. You know, wars. We have nothing to fall back on because we've done a lot of stupidness with our money.
The country or
the country?
Okay.
The country. I mean, there's even a story in the business section that says stronger pension laws would have lessened the impact of Dory and COVID-19. So again, but it's true because you people would have had a little bit of a savings or more of savings than they ever currently have now, especially after these problems that we faced. A lot of people's run their savings down in the last 2 years. So our culture, our governments have not set us up to weather any kind of storm. Any kind of storm.
Okay. I hear you. So all that was okay. All right, let me leave that there. I mean, people can do it. You can do it and go into the private pension world and do this if you want this. And if the government were to mandate it, and they need to, yes, absolutely. But we know what that would mean, that you'd have to contribute more as well. And people are crying about NIB. So God knows what they would cry about if they have to contribute to their pensions as well. So
I guess the problem is people see it as a tax.
Okay. And so if you don't want to be taxed.
But it's a savings, isn't it?
It is. And if you really want it, go in the private sector. Go to the private sector.
I mean, that's the point too. But we haven't fostered a culture.
But we need to force people to do these things.
We've also not put people in a position to be able to do it. Like only now we're talking about minimum wage increases and those kinds of things where people might have been able to put 50 cents a week.
Okay, so aren't you contradicting yourself
How?
with what you just said about how the people complaining are the ones, right? These are the same people who are stretched thin.
No, but I'm talking about how the system could have been improved from a long time ago.
Okay.
So that people could weather times like this. It's not that we don't know that these things are cyclical.
That is true.
It's not that we don't know hurricane season comes every year.
Yeah. But is this, even if for the most prepared, that this is going to be challenging, especially after Dorian and 2 years of a pandemic and now this, and that even the best prepared amongst us is going to be challenged with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But again, these times are also calling for lifestyle changes. So, we have to be fair to ourselves and our governments, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Some interesting things you're saying, Chester Robards. Let's see where our lip about it. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
One of the reasons why your guests do not know what the poor is saying is because the poor doesn't have a voice, in my opinion.
Why not?
The poor only have voice when time to vote. And separate from that is shelter. No voice. History.
Well, who has a voice? If the poor doesn't have, but who has a voice? Does anybody have a voice, or what do you mean specifically when you say that?
The voice is there with the rich and the middle class, and that's who the politicians and the preachers listen to. But they don't listen to the poor.
Yeah. You sure? I think they might listen to the poor more than they listen to the middle class, but okay.
Who?
No?
Who?
The politicians.
Really?
Okay. Well, they pander to the poor more.
Ah.
Maybe that's
not listening.
Oh, okay. Well, that means they don't listen to anybody with the rest.
That's
What
not
that
the same
means.
thing.
So the poor and the middle class have no voice, but they're all talking. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Dwight. Morning, Chester.
Good morning.
I love this conversation this morning. My first question to you, Dwight, would be, what middle class? Right now, as it stands, for some of us who are fortunate to have lived through the 60s, it is so good when you can compare really the way the country was going back in the day to where it is now. The systems developed from, let's say, from the earlier Bahamas. There were some things put in place where the progress of the Bahamian people in terms of prosperity was quite evident. I think also some people would say, well, that would have been exacerbated by the drug war, the drug trade back in the day. However, we still had middle class who had sufficient to keep the economy going. But now today what we have is the middle class is virtually no more. We are now more leaning towards the poor of the classes. And this is where the problems with this country. The one key element here I'd like to close on is this. The systems are there, and basically I believe that the earlier founders of the country, i.e. the father of the nation and the first cabinet, I believe that their intent was to empower the Bahamian people, not just in financial prosperity, but also ownership of the country. But we have lost that. And the current leaders, past and present, I would say post 29 years ago. I believe that we basically have just said the country pilot in the sense that every man have to go out there and try to find a way to create their own wealth. And this is why we see a lot of illegalities going on as well. Because it seems as if the government when I say the government, the 38 representatives that sits in the House obviously are ensuring that the 1% among us are still maintaining this, whereas the remainder of us are out here on this struggle with increased taxes and everything. So it's a combination of different elements, but I believe the time must come when we focus on empowering the Bahamian peoples, not just, like I said, not from a financial standpoint, but from an ownership standpoint, giving us the purpose of actually taking ownership of this country and running it as a business in order to empower the Bahamians financially to get to the next level. Thanks for taking my call. I know this call has been kind of long for me, but I just figured I need, because of frustration of the Bahamian people, they are speaking, but our leaders actually listening to what we are saying.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking my call.
Good points.
Thanks a lot.
Remember when we were called a nation for sale?
My goodness.
It wasn't about like a selling off of assets, It was a selling out of the Bahamian people.
Wow.
It wasn't, when you think of sale, you're thinking of somebody selling a piece of land, someone selling this, that. The Bahamian people are sold out. And interests, other than Bahamian interests, were taken care of first. And that has snowballed into today.
Yeah. I was going to say, is it very different?
No.
Wow. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on there.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning, Chess. How you doing, my brother?
Good morning.
Man, you spot on this morning. You spot on this morning. Everything you're saying, I agree with you. See, my thing is, right? See, I must be born before my time, because everything I say has to come to pass. I know the taxes was coming, The taxes has to come, Chess, because the civil servants, I, the person, like to watch the budget. The same money they can borrow to pay some of these civil servants. 30,000 of them need to go home. And let the young people get these jobs who can pay the pension back. And that's why I take an early pension. See, Dwight, and another thing, like Chester said, right? This country don't belong to Bahamians. It belongs to the Chinese, the Americans, the Filipinos, everybody but Bahamians. And you're right, if it ain't a more middle class in this country, you'd be pretty rich or pretty poor. Everybody going to eternal hell. But, see, let me tell you something, my brother. The Lenin Pillen say, if you don't fight this country, then you don't say that. But see, it ain't but no Filipino referendum now, It's but survival. Your young people, I'm going to say your young people, you can't afford to buy land where they born on the island of New Providence. But the foreigners can come and buy everything. Why don't with the brave they go to feel the land all and that back? No more land for sale. No foreigners on the island of New Providence. They lose you and things like that. Go to Auckland, in Nago and places like that and get incentive there. And time to take my call, my brother.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. Let's read some of these messages here. Someone says, tell Chester to stop it about the government doesn't put people in place to save and prepare. Every time, lame, no matter how poor someone is, they always find money for an ASU when they want to go to Miami, though. What is an ASU but a simple savings plan? And you don't need the government for that, so stop it. We find money for what we want.
Okay. That's a couple people.
Oh, boy. Another one here says, white neighbors need to come together and pool their resources in times like these. And it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better. We keep hearing about that. This person says here, buy online. You love to cover up and protect politicians, especially on real issues, Dwight. Okay. You say you want freedom of information, but for what? When media is afraid of politicians. What are you talking about, Dexter? What are you talking about? Gracious. I see you all putting questions to Rodney Monker, but I'm waiting for the media to question the powers as to why Bahamians can't open a crypto account in the country after all that excitement about FTX and how wonderful it is, another industry Bahamians are locked out of. And Chester's right on pension. We need government to move the triple VAT charge on online imports. We have to pay VAT on the item, VAT on the courier bill, then VAT on the customs bill. This is exploitation.
For heaven's sake, that's crazy right there.
Yeah. Been that way. It's crazy. It is indeed. This person says here, when Minnis raised the VAT rate, several of his members of parliament stood up against him publicly. Davis has added VAT to breadbasket items and medications, and his members of parliament back his each and every move and even defended. Dwight, I heard Chester express his views on the increase of the breadbasket items by the Davis administration. Is he okay, respectfully? Is he... the last part is not necessary.
I never said I was okay with the increase in them. But it's not the government's fault that the price has increased.
Right. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Hey, morning, gents. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
What am I about the show this morning? Even though I still agree with Chester in a way, but basically, Dwight, I'm glad to have you to know if Chester have a show a spot on the show, on your show, on the radio.
You mean if he has his own show?
Yeah.
Not as yet.
I'm pulling for. Why don't you give Chester a spot, man? Chester, same to. I like how he is. Whether he's right or wrong. I mean, nobody's really perfect, but he's always basically fair. You know, he tried to be fair, and that's all a human can do.
I appreciate it.
I would like to hear. I like Chester to have a show.
Yeah, he's shaking his head because if Chester wanted a show, he probably would have had a show. But Chester, you wanted to put this out on the air for everybody to hear?
Chester's life is busy.
Okay.
Chester barely wants to be on Morning Blend.
But make sure keep it right there, right? You picked the right person to be with you.
I appreciate you.
Hey, listen, one last thing. I think I might say this. I guess, Dwight, when not getting in this rich and poor and all that, right? Because I be the myself. But now, if things ain't that bad, Dwight, right now, if the government have a food drive or something like that, just I guess. You wouldn't be able to get it in the front, Chester. So I don't know if you ain't right. If you're not right, Chester, just go and say government's giving them food or something and see how much people really need food. Wow. All right, you guys have a good day.
Yeah. I mean, we see that too. When the guys who have a lot of money have food drives, we see the lines wrapped around streets after streets.
Yeah. No, I mean, to go back to what you were saying.
Some people who don't need it be on them lines too, though.
That is true, but we've seen some big changes. A lot of people, as you know, had to pull their children out of private schools. And yes, they're very expensive, but they were able to do it before, but they haven't been able to in the last 3-4 years. So we've seen changes. The middle class, when they're complaining, it's not just for fun.
It's because they're the poor class too.
As the callers are saying, right? They are really under pressure. We are really under pressure, right? It's been tough. And stuff like that, where the other texter mentioned about the double and triple VAT on items when you're importing. When you try to save things, it doesn't work. When you bring it in, it's happened many times. I've bought something at a tiny price, maybe $9, and by the time the VAT and the duty and the shipping, that thing is $50. How?
My father-in-law pointed out when we went to Mother's Day brunch that, you got your service charge of, 15%? And then VAT 10%. So you got 25% on your little eat-out bill. And when the bill comes, you're like, what? What did I eat? It ain't what you eat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Paying for air,
basically.
It seems. Let's take a couple more calls before we take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Glenn. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi.
Yeah, the strong people, there seem to be, we are missing people who have courage. Let me give you an example. I know sometimes my uncle used to leave Saudi Lutra to come to New Providence, him one, with a bunch of fruits. Him one in the boat. Sometimes he leave it out of compass and still make it here. Where are these people? I know some people who can still do that. But we seem to have lost the ability to become adventurous, to move out of the box. We just want to be comfortable inside the government box. Listen, folks, you can trade crypto. You can open up your own account outside this country. You don't have to go through the government central bank because they're going to only centralize it and tax you. Do it yourself. Go to Coinbase, set it up, and if you're doing something now, for the next 5 minutes, go short on Bitcoin. For the rest of the day, go long. Long means buy, short means sell. Thanks for taking my call.
All right.
Okay.
A little bit of advice there. You set your own.
Yes. Beware.
Yeah.
Okay. And this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning, Chester.
Morning.
Yeah, Chester, I would like to also say, you need to get a show too,
Thank you.
You bring reality to there. Hey, I'm Dwight.
Hi.
you know why we're in this dispossessed position, and like we cannot basically take care of ourselves, the poor and whatever. Hello?
Yeah, we're listening.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like another nation like Haiti.
Uh-huh. What happened? Is he there? No? Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay. Where do you think he was going? Huh? Okay. Boy, let's read a couple messages as we go to the break.
Someone mentioned real estate, and that's always a sore point, and that could be a whole show. But that really is the way that real estate is valued in this country based on not on what we can afford, right?
No.
So,
well, not on this island.
Well, no, especially not on this
Right.
island. But it's getting bad on other islands too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And you do wonder if there's not something that can be done, a correction.
I'm sure there is.
But from the government.
You know,
perhaps.
economics is made up, right? You know, somebody sat down and decided that this is the way it's going to be. It's the way it is.
That is true. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've got some theories, some ideas on how we can fix New Providence's real estate, but but people don't like it. People don't like it. But I'll just say it again. Move the capital. We need to move the capital. Nassau shouldn't be the capital. And that will do a lot. Spread this population out and correct some serious wrongs.
Let's move Guardian Radio to a different island, and then I'll have my own show.
Yeah, right.
Could have a
wait. I'm all for it. Let's go. Let's go. All right, there's
Kamala Miki.
Yeah, isn't everything solar there? Or
Yeah,
really?
it's a private island.
Yeah, okay. A couple messages as we go to the break. This person says, there's a Bahamian, a young Bahamian. I'm preparing to move to Canada. Nothing is going to change. I'm so tired. There's no opportunity and chances here. I love my country, but I have to go. It's very sad. Very sad. This person says here, check this, Dwight. 1 peach, 156. 1 nectarine, 175. Dwight, fruits out of the ceiling. It's kind of low. Really? Here? Okay, you sure?
Yeah, them things been expensive.
That
Maybe they went up by a couple of
I
cents.
think they're much more than that. Grapefruit is like almost $2 each. What's going on there? Boy, oh boy. Anyway, we're going to be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
First look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. In your traffic news, letting you know that the Ministry of Works and Utilities has scheduled milling and paving works for the junction of Prospect Road. The work is scheduled to begin today for about 2 working days, and so the public's being advised to avoid the area and to follow the posted signs, the traffic signs in the area. That, again, is Prospect Ridge and Prospect Road, the junction there. In your real-time traffic this morning, we've got the usual hot spots being quite hot today. Milo Butler Highway from well south of Fire Trail in the northbound lanes all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. You'll see that there, the northbound lanes. And traffic's backed up a bit along Tonic Williams Darling Highway westbound and Fire Trail east and westbound to the roundabout with Mile Butler Highway. Gladstone looking a little bit better for you, but still heavy traffic just north of Fire Trail in the northbound lane to JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road also busy for you just north of Soldier Road and near the Carmichael Road Junction and the St. Vincent Road Junction. And traffic's backed up a bit along westbound and eastbound lanes of Independence Drive. Soldier Road seeing some challenges near the intersection with East Street and then Windsor Place. And building traffic as you approach the intersection with Village, Wolf, Bernard, and Soldier Road. Then pockets along Prince Charles and Robinson Road and Eastern Road seeing some heavy traffic westbound at this hour from San Souci to Johnson Road. Brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and pin security with your RBC Visa credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic. Time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Inventive Intellect. We've got a lingering frontal boundary meandering across the southeast Bahamas that's interacting with a deep-level low-pressure system just east of the Carolinas, and that's going to trigger a few showers and thunderstorms over a small portion of the area today. Meanwhile, hazardous boating conditions will persist as the surface low generates moderate to large swells that will impact Atlantic exposures through tonight. As a result, boaters in the northwest Bahamas being urged to not venture far from port, and beachgoers being it will be life-threatening swells, rough surf, and dangerous rip currents along Atlantic exposures. And motorists and pedestrians along Atlantic shorelines in the northwest Bahamas should exercise extreme caution, especially along the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama and the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, expect a mix of sun and clouds, warm and breezy conditions with a few occasional light showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with a stray shower or two possible tonight. Again, boaters should not venture far from port. For the central southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy and warm with isolated showers and thunderstorms today near the front, mainly across the southeast Bahamas through tonight. Small craft caution in effect due to swells. Temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In extended outlook, that front will gradually weaken and dissipate as the surface low migrates westwards towards the southeastern U.S., allowing sea swells to eventually diminish. Meanwhile, high pressure, accompanied by moisture from the Atlantic, will gradually build westwards, generating unsettled weather across the Bahamas through Friday. So a lot happening. Ahead of that, though, for tomorrow, Thursday, variably cloudy and warm with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across the southeast Bahamas. Friday, mostly cloudy and warm with a few scattered showers to widespread showers and thunderstorms. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Inventive Intellect. Specializing in customized items, give them a call, 676-5811 or 821-9457 today.
Breakfast just got better at Wendy's. Introducing the Breakfast Biggie Bag. Enjoy a double sausage muffin with 2 square sausage patties, a freshly cracked egg, and cheese served on a toasted English muffin, a medium waffle fries, and an orange juice for only $5.25, VAT inclusive. And an apple pie for just $1 more.
Say what?
At Wendy's, better breakfast is all day. Offers valid in participating locations. Wendy's, different inside and out.
You know, you should teach a savings class, because you know everything.
No, I just choose wisely. Like, I just got 2 months free home internet from BTC. All I did was sign up for internet.
2 months internet free? For real?
I bundled my internet and mobile services, and now I'm paying half of what the other guys charge. Plus, as a new customer, I get 2 months internet free.
What? Nah, that's a big deal.
Switch to BTC Internet and get the 2nd and 3rd months free for new customers. Conditions apply.
Your life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
I'm on the ledge of the 18th story. Oh, I scream for you. Please, I'm calling. And all I need from you. Rain, I'm falling. I'm falling. Show me what it's like. The last one standing. And teach me wrong from right. And I show you what I can and say.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Chester Roebuck about mental health, where things stand in the Bahamas. You know, we have major challenges, and it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're going to be focusing on that quite a bit over the next few weeks, so that's coming up. But we continue with what's in the news right now. Let's take this call. This person's been on hold for a little bit, and some other issues we want to get to as well. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
Dwight Strachan.
Yes, good morning.
I hope you're doing well. I could barely hear you.
Oh, boy.
You sound so low. Can you hear me on that end?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, all right. That's a little better. Now, listen. I always like to start with the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. That is the supreme law. I heard you say that the government has gone upon the breadbasket item.
Yes.
Or given
They've given
the
permission.
merchants
Right.
The authority to increase the prices.
Right.
And I believe you made a comment that at least you were reading something. And you said that the Minister of Economic Affairs said it meant to buy a few cents.
Yes, that's what he says. A matter of sense.
Now, I just want to refer to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas itself. How a government ought to function. 3 things are specifically mentioned in the Constitution, among other things. No man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone. That's the first point. The second point, no man, woman, or child shall ever have their labor exploited. Number 3, no man, woman, or child shall ever have their lives frustrated by deprivation. And I wonder if the government ever thought about those 3 main key points mentioned in the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas when they were considering to give these people increase in the breadbasket item. Plus, we also have increases in so many other things. It is the duty of the government of the Bahamas to protect the interests of its people. Because you do not see any increases in wages. I don't know anything about that. And people are saying every time you go to the food store, the prices keep rising, which is true. That's happening. The government of the Bahamas has a responsibility. Now, either they're going to do it, or the people themselves will have to do it. Because we have a problem. What is the purpose of a government? What is the point of having a government running the country when you have all these things working against the best interests of the Bahamian people?
All right, so let me ask you this. So the retailers and the wholesalers as well, they're all saying we can't do anything about this. Our costs have gone up. It is costing us a lot to bring this in, so we have to pass it on to the consumer. What can the government do in a situation like that?
Now, this is what you just said. Right? The retailers are saying they have increases, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Because you sound like you keep dropping. I don't know why that's so. We have to pass on what? To the consumers. That is people who are buying.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about labor? Because, see, when you have these increases, there's also exploitation of labor. Because the people who work for these merchants are not getting any increases in salary, but they're passing on costs to those very same people who work for them, plus others who don't work for them. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So you have a triple whammy. Are we being slaves and bondsmen to the merchants. Is our labor being exploited? And frustration, Mr. Strachan, is so high in this country now. People being deprived of their rights, their freedoms, their privileges, and are very frustrated. And I hear them all the time when they call your show and the other shows. But the governor of the Bahamas has a responsibility, and it doesn't seem as if they seem to understand how serious this responsibility is, because they're just allowing things to happen. That's why you have a government to deal with the problems that confront the people. Otherwise, then if you aren't going to do it, then people will take matters in their own hands. That's what you're leaving them to do. And then that creates even more problems. You see what I'm saying?
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much.
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
Right.
So don't buy it when they say that they can't do much about it. There are things they can do. Absolutely. There might be some other consequences for it, and we heard the Prime Minister mention that, right? That in doing some of these things, that will mean that they won't be able to do certain other things. But perhaps if it's a temporary thing, maybe we can do without that. Perhaps. I don't know if we're going to get the time to get to this topic, but the COVID numbers are increasing, as we talked about yesterday, and the CDC is about to push us back up to a level 2 travel notice. And this came from the Ministry of Education yesterday, and this was a little disturbing to me. But they've had to suspend face-to-face instruction at Stephen Dillett Primary School because of an increase in COVID cases at the school. And so as a result of that, all face-to-face instruction at school has been suspended effective immediately, and face-to-face instruction will resume on Monday.
Monday?
Yeah. So until then, students will receive their instruction via the virtual platform. And
When did they suspend?
This was yesterday. Parents had to go and pick up the kids early yesterday. So, we don't know what the numbers are, but that's very interesting there, right? So pay attention to what's going on, folks. Hopefully we'll get more information about that. But we're going to break for news and be back with more. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:22, it is time for another check of your weather. Bahamas First Insurance. We've got a lot going on weather-wise, so take a listen to this. We've got a lingering frontal boundary meandering across the southeast Bahamas, and that's interacting with a deep low pressure system just to the east of the Carolinas. All that's triggering showers and thunderstorms over a small portion of the area today. Meanwhile, hazardous boating conditions will continue as the surface low generates moderate to large swells that will impact Atlantic exposures through tonight. So, for today, boaters in the Northwest Bahamas are being urged to not venture far from port, and beachgoers are being advised to stay out of the water due to life-threatening swells, rough surf, and dangerous rip currents impacting Atlantic exposures. There's some warnings for motorists as well. We'll tell you about that in the traffic report. For the Northwest Bahamas, we're expecting a mix of sun and clouds today, warm and breezy conditions with a few occasional light showers, becoming mostly fair and mild with a stray shower or two possible. Again, boaters should not venture far from port due to swells. For the central and southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy and warm with isolated showers and thunderstorms near the front mainly across the southeast Bahamas through tonight. Small craft cautions in effect due to swells. Expect gusty winds and higher seas in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. We're looking at high temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that front will gradually weaken and dissipate as the surface low migrates westwards across and towards the southeastern U.S., allowing sea swells to eventually diminish. High pressure accompanied by moisture from the Atlantic will gradually build westwards, generating an unsettled weather pattern across the islands through to Friday. So tomorrow we are expecting variably cloudy and warm conditions with widely scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across the southeast Bahamas. And Friday mostly cloudy and showers to widespread showers and thunderstorms. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And we got another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. For all of life's moments, there's one Visa Classic credit card. And for motorists and pedestrians along Atlantic exposures, you're being advised to exercise extreme caution as weather conditions could present some challenges, especially along Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama and the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera. So keep that in mind today. Here in New Providence, we are letting you know that the Ministry of Works and Utilities and Bahamics are doing milling and paving work for the junction of Prospect Ridge and Prospect Road. That's expected to begin today and go on for a period of 2 working days. Motoring public being advised to avoid the area if possible and to follow the posted traffic signs in the area. That's, again, Prospect Ridge and Prospect Road. In your real-time traffic this morning, we're seeing that heavy traffic continue on Milo Highway from well south of the Fire Trail roundabout all the way up to Tawny Glooms Darling Highway, and that's presenting some challenges on Tawny Glooms Darling Highway as well, especially westbound. Gladstone Road also busy for you just north of Fire Trail. And Blue Hill Road heavy northbound lanes, and traffic's backed up near the roundabout on Independence Drive, westbound and eastbound to the East Street and East-West Highway roundabout. East Street seeing some heavy traffic between that roundabout and the intersection with Robinson Road. And Robinson Road is congested for you between Soldier and Old Trail and Marathon Road. Soldier Road also seeing heavy traffic at the intersection of Bernard, Village, Wolf, and Soldier. And Eastern Road as well. Heavy traffic westbound between San Souci and Johnson Road, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive and Bernard Road westbound. A bit of congestion for you on West Bay Street as you approach the Saunders Beach area and the roundabout with New Providence Highway, so that's eastbound for you, so keep that in mind if you're there. And we've got building traffic on Carmichael westbound to Coral Harbor Road. So a lot of issues out there, but good luck to you. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Experience cashless purchasing power and chip and PIN security with your RBC Visa Classic credit card. Manage your day-to-day expenses and apply today at rbc.com/Caribbean/Visa Classic.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Me crazy. Does that make me crazy?
And we are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And we are changing gears now. As we said, it's a Mental Health Awareness Month, all month long, May. And we're talking about mental health issues and some of the signs that you need to look out for and resources available to you. This morning, we're very pleased to have back with us Dr. Tracy King and Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. They're going to guide us through this conversation. Ladies, great to have you back with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bahamas.
All right. So, and do we have... No, just... Okay. So, let's talk about this. We have been discussing this over the past few months since the pandemic, during the pandemic, that people have been going through a lot. A lot of pressure, out of lockdown, facing curfews, losing loved ones, being sick themselves, and just the uncertainty of it all. And as we try to get back to normal, some people are having a difficult time readjusting. And so we knew that we had pressure before this, even with Dorian, and before Dorian, just things have been getting challenging for a lot of people. And we've noticed the number of people walking around that many will say is, like the song suggests, crazy, but we know we have many issues here. Let's talk about it. Where do things stand? I know people don't like that word, right? But how bad are things right now, especially here in the Bahamas?
Well, Dwight, I would say, without any physical data, right? Without any reports or surveys to really reference in regards to levels of mental illness or mental health in the country, I think that anecdotally it's safe to say that people are experiencing fairly high levels of stress. If we just speak to grief alone, the number of funerals that I've attended in the past year that are personal, much less people that I know that have lost loved ones, has been significant. So there's a lot of things that are happening to worry, causing people to stress. I mean, even the story that you were discussing right before we came on, you have all of these health concerns, and then you add to that these economic constraints and financial hardships. So I think it's safe to say that we're living in a fairly stressful time, and a time where we all need to take special care to note how we are doing mentally, and really dealing with our mental health as something that is of note and importance, not just kind of something that's there and we get to it.
Absolutely. Dr. King?
I agree. It's hard to say number-wise, but just indications of what we're seeing within the country itself, with people increase in stress and the level of crime, and just the overall issues that we're seeing.
Yeah. This text here, every day, the front page or newspapers and the news they're all about murders and many other tragedies, and that people are probably facing PTSD. Does this make us depressed or numb, or what is the impact of that on our psyche?
Okay. Go ahead, Tracy.
Go ahead.
I would just go. The first thing that came to my mind was the Bible verse that tells us that we have to guard our hearing, guard our seeing, and guard our speaking. I think that there is an acute difference between being aware of what's going on and listening to things every day that are not necessarily going to improve your mood or lift you up. You know, I don't think that you need to really be engaged in knowing every news story or every murder count every day. We live in a small society. If there's information that you need to know, I'm sure that you can be able to find it. But I think what's most important is for people to be self-aware of how they are engaging these materials, right? So if you are someone that can hear the murder count every day and still go about your day, still go about your business, still feel upbeat or feel like you want to engage with the people around you, then that's one thing. But if you realize that after you are listening to these reports, your mood feels down, you feel scared, you feel like you just want to lock yourself and your family away in your house and throw away the key, then maybe that's not the avenue that you should take. So in all of these discussions or thinking about ways that we engage information, the self-awareness is going to be the main key, right? How is this information affecting you? And then the desensitization is another issue as well. Becoming more desensitized to accounts of violence and murder, because that's also problematic. We should continue to be alarmed that people are being killed in this country. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, all right. So, from your perspective, so what are the mental health issues that are most prominent that we should most be concerned about right now? Specific issues.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I think when we are looking at the overwhelming mental health issues, depression and anxiety tends to be high on the list. But there's also other mental health issues that need to be considered depending on where you are in the Bahamas, because we sometimes forget that it's not just New Providence, that there are also individuals on Family Islands dealing with a variety of mental health issues. We've also seen an increase in suicide. So to me, those are the main kind of areas that we have to pay attention to, the anxiety and depression, but also looking at what other mental health issues number-wise that's happening within the country, so that we can really tailor our initiatives and prevention methods towards addressing those issues.
I mentioned a lot of issues before, but what do you believe is accounting for the depression and the anxiety?
There's a lot of factors related to the presentation of a mental illness. I rely heavily on the biopsychosocial model as well as other mental health professionals that talk about how biological factors that contribute, genetics, imbalance of neurotransmitters. There's also the environment, stress, and the things that we bring to the table as well, how we see things, how we cope. And so each factor brings its own component to the development of a mental illness. And that's when we look at the treatment of mental illnesses. How do we approach these three factors in prevention, but also in the treatment overall? What I like to do with talking with clients is to assess each situation on its own to determine what may be the factors that's contributing to their own mental health issues.
Yeah. You mentioned the treatment. Let's talk about that. What can you do, especially when there is the stigma still about talking about having a mental health issue or seeking out a help? What do we do in that type of situation?
So speaking of the stigma, and this is the importance of Mental Health Awareness Month, is really bringing awareness to mental health issues. Because stigma creates a barrier towards treatment. So there may be persons that are struggling and not recognize that they are having issues, or when they do, don't seek treatment. But there's a spectrum of treatments. Usually you will see medication intervention, as I was talking about the factors of mental illness. The medication addresses the biological factors. There's also talk therapy or psychotherapy, as some people may call it, in which we're looking at specific factors and helping a person understand and increase their awareness. But in the whole aspect of the treatment itself, there's the environment and understanding how the environment affects a person's mental health. One of those major issues that we have seen has impacted a variety of mental health issues, not only anxiety, but also substance use. So in dealing with treatment, we look at those three factors to direct it, whether it's needing the medication intervention or requiring psychotherapy. But the research out there talks about how there needs to be sometimes a combination of both medication and psychotherapy, but also support from others.
Yeah. What about medication? Do we need to have more people put on medication?
Well, I'm a psychologist, so medication is outside of my expertise. But one thing that I want to highlight is not every person that has a mental illness requires medication. And even if you are on medication, that doesn't necessarily mean you will remain on medication for the rest of your life. So depending on the mental health issue, it may require medication intervention. And even if it does, that does not mean that you'll be on it for forever.
We're getting some great questions here on our text line. This person's asking, do you think there are any added pressures on men, considering the growing number of males that are dying? Also, the fact that there's an increase in sexual crimes.
Added pressures on men. Well, I mean, I think that that speaks to some of the issues in regards to what are the signs that we want to look for when people are experiencing issues with their mental health, right? I don't know if I would say that there were added pressures to men, but that each gender might deal with different things in our society differently, right? So, and one thing are trying to highlight, as Dr. King just mentioned, is the need to reduce the stigma around getting help. So one of the added pressures that might affect men is that there is sort of a less openness for men to feel like they can go and talk to someone, or that they can admit that they need help or that they have a problem. And so we want to try and raise awareness that mental health is something that affects everyone and everyone equally. And that sometimes just talking about it, admitting that you are experiencing some extra stressors, or finding safe spaces and people to go to can help to alleviate those pressures.
We've got another text here. Someone's, oh boy, should we change the name of the Sandlands Rehabilitation Center because of the name of because of the negative connotation of the name now? No,
What?
we have to rebrand that important institution. Well, I mean, it's named after someone, so. But whatever I suspect, change
whatever you
the
call
name
it,
too will
it's
become the same thing that you have an issue with. But are people? Is that part of the problem as well? If you go to seek treatment there, that the society brands you in a negative light there. Is there anything that can be done about that? Paints you in a negative light, at least.
I mean, I think that's exactly what the goal of mental health awareness is, right? To normalize people getting help. And Sandilands isn't the only option that is available. There's a community health and assessment center that's on Collins Hill, which more accessible for people to actually walk in. A lot of times people don't realize that you actually need a referral to get help or at Sandilands. So there are other places and other spaces that people can go to get help, but the idea is to remove that stigma by allowing people to talk about the issues that they're having and do so in ways in which they don't get that stigma, that negative feedback, or that judgment.
Do people typically more recognize their own deficiencies when it comes to mental health, or is it typically pointed out to them and then they go and seek treatment, or somebody suggests to them they need to go, or is it that obvious for some people?
Well, it depends on the awareness of the individual. I always indicate for early warning signs is, are you seeing something different within yourself? It might be irritation for some people. It might be being tired. It might be a lot of different things. And so it's just recognizing within yourself, are you feeling okay? Are you doing okay? Are you managing the demands of life reasonably okay? And then if that's not the case, then go in and get it and see a mental health professional to kind of have that conversation. We've been talking a lot about stigma, and that in itself sometimes prevents people from acknowledging that they have a mental health issue. Because even if they recognize myself or something might be wrong emotionally, they're not willing to seek out the help because of that stigma, using, the word crazy. I don't want to be seen as crazy, just as, people going to the community counseling assessment center or to sound like that whole concept of acknowledging a mental health issue equals for some the idea of being crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if there are studies on this, but is social media and those sorts of things, is that triggering more mental health problems these days? Depression, certain things like that?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of research happening with social media and the impact that it has on mental health. And what people are looking at definitely will impact the way that they see themselves, the way that they see the world, and can contribute to levels of depression, but also anxiety. So, it's always recommended to be aware of what you're looking at in social media, and even to give yourself a break from social media in itself, and just heading towards looking at things that may be more inspiring versus depressing.
Now, some people can't take a break. Do they need to see help for that?
There's a whole other world when you talk about media, social media addiction, or even other types of addiction. But like I said, it's just for each individual and understanding what is happening. And that's where the mental health professional comes in. Because if you're noticing, hey, I'm doing this so much and, it's compulsive, it's out of control, problems like with my mental health. Those are times when you need to sit back and maybe go see a mental health professional to say, what's going on? Why do I constantly do this? The main thing is there's help out there. If you feel that you need it, just seek it.
Yeah, Dr. King, let's expand on that, the warning signs or the other signs that you may be experiencing a problem. Tell us some more of those.
So, we've been talking about what are the main mental health issues. And so I just want to highlight that there is a book that mental health professionals we use. It's called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. And in that, it has mental health issues from children straight up to older adults. And right now it's over 200 different types of mental health issues, which can be like ADHD or neurocognitive, grief, and all of these other issues. And so the symptoms of the mental illness will change depending on what the issue may be. So with depression and mood, there's that fluctuation in emotions. If we're talking about neurocognitive stuff, it's your ability to think about things, being able to read or to comprehend. Early warning signs in a whole.
Do you lose Dr. King?
No.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a quick break and then we'll pick that up.
Sorry?
Yep. Are you back? I think. Okay. So let's take that break and then we'll be back. Continue our conversation. We are talking with Dr. Tracy King and Dr. Nambi Hall Campbell Dean, talking about mental health and mental health awareness. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Come on now, who do you think you are? Bless your soul.
You're always on the go. We know life can be a daily rush. CIBC, First Caribbean, you can count on us. We make life easier. Manage your accounts at any time. Apply for a loan. It's easy when you bank online. We make life easier with choices that suit you. CIBC, First Caribbean.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strong with Chester Robards. We are talking about mental health awareness today. People say stop playing the song. And we are talking with Dr. Tracy King and Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell Dean. We've got Dr. King back with us. Yes, we lost you there in the middle. And you were talking about some of the warning signs, some of the symptoms that you might need to talk to someone, that you might need to seek help.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I was saying that the main issue with a lot of the mental health issues is impairment in functioning. So are you seeing your changes in your ability to kind of deal with things at home, at work, or even at school? Are you seeing some changes in your mood, in the way that you're thinking about things, and some of your behaviors? So if we're talking about depression, for example, or even with anxiety, you're seeing some changes in either low mood or being anxious all the time, worrying with anxiety, and just those fluctuations that a person will exhibit within their mood. And then the way that you're thinking about things. With depression, you might see your thoughts be more negative, as well as with anxiety, negative thoughts about yourself, about the world, and then the behaviors. With depression, you will see changes in your ability to kind of sleep, sometimes eating, but also with a variety of people, social withdrawals. So depending on the mental health issue will impact the way that you think, but also the way that you act. And any impairment in those areas or changes can indicate a warning signs of a mental health issue.
All right. Some more of our questions on the text line, and you can call in as well, folks, if you have any questions for our guests. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. This text, I know the answer to this, but they're asking if you can't afford private to seek someone, a private psychologist, therapist, or even psychiatrist. What can you do? How do you do this? I think you mentioned you had to be referred to at least to Sandlands, but if you want to seek help in the public health system, what do you do?
There is one outpatient clinic on the island of New Providence. It's called the Community Counseling and Assessment Center. And that is the outpatient branch of Sandlands Rehabilitation Center. Outside of that, that is the only government run that I know, but there's also options for the child and adolescent population.
Okay.
That branch is the only outpatient on the island of New Providence.
Mm-hmm. This question here, should mental health courses be mandatory in our schools?
Courses?
I guess classes on it.
Well, I mean, I don't know about mental health courses specifically, right? But we should all be having conversations about how to take care. So in the same way in schools that we have, physical education where we learn how to take care of our physical bodies, it would be good to have assemblies or sessions where we talk about ways to be self-aware, as Dr. King was saying, right? Because that's the first step in recognizing if you're having a problem. So if you're someone that you're not aware of, okay, I'm sleeping less than I used to, or my eating habits have changed, or the things that I used to enjoy, I no longer enjoy. If you're not self-aware, then you might not notice these changes that are occurring. And so I think that having conversations in school about that self-awareness would be useful. Having conversations in school that mental health, is something that we have that we need to take care of. That is just as important and just as relevant as our physical health would be very useful as well. So, Okay.
This texter is asking if we need health care and mental health care reform in the country and what form that should take.
I will say yes. I think the form will be dictated by, an assessment of what is needed within the country. I think it should be decentralized because a lot of the mental health services occur on New Providence. There is the Rand Hospital in Grand Bahama, but a lot of mental health services, individuals from family islands will need to Providence. So in the reform, looking at allowing or at least the possibility of having mental health services readily available to other family islands.
As we have just about a minute or so left, what would you say to somebody who is experiencing what you've been mentioning, Dr. King, just not feeling like yourself, you've been sleeping less or sleeping more, and just a general state of unease or depression even? What do you suggest they do? Or if we notice a loved one who's going through this?
There is this statement out there, it's okay not to be okay. I think just recognizing that that's something that we can be okay with, to acknowledge that if you are struggling, that it's okay to seek help. And seeking help does not, quote unquote, make you crazy. That we're human beings and life affects us in many different ways. And to seek the help if you see yourself seeing some of these early warning signs. Because if you get a cut on your arm, for example, or you're physically ill, you go to see a doctor. But if you are struggling emotionally, what's so wrong about seeing a mental health professional? It's changing the perception that we have to be strong, that going to see someone for mental health issues does not make you crazy. It just makes you human, and that's okay.
And Dr. Nyambi, some important numbers for folks.
Yeah, so there are some mental health helplines that have been put out by the Ministry of Health. There's one that is specifically for males. That's 821-8123. There's a general mental health helpline. That's 816-3799. There's one that is for our Creole-speaking population. That is 454-2933. Also one specifically for those in Abaco. That's 822-4211. And then there's also a specific child, adolescent, and parent support line number. That's 819-76. And so last year we had the mental health awareness campaign. We haven't been able to get the help to really amount that as such this year, but the page is still up on Facebook, and it has a lot of these resources posted where people can get help for that. There's also the Bahamas Mental Health Association, of which Dr. King is the president and I'm a member, where people can go to that Facebook page and find more resources or tips, signs that we can look at as well.
Okay, wonderful stuff. I'm going to post that on our Facebook page and our Twitter page as well, those numbers there. But thank you both so much, Dr. Tracy King and Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean. And hopefully we will have these conversations not just during May, but all the time, all year round. And thank you very much again.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a break and be back with Morning Blend Business after the news headlines. We're going to be talking with BPL and Carolec about a conference that you don't want to miss. We're going to tell you about that coming up. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
All day, staring at the ceiling, making friends with shadows on my wall. All night, hearing voices telling me that I should get some sleep, because tomorrow might be good for something.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, May 11th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And this morning we are talking about Carolec, the Caribbean Electric Utility Services Corporation. They're having a CEO's Leadership Conference. And here to tell us all about this and more, we're very pleased to welcome the Executive Director and Corporate Secretary for Carolec, Dr. Cletus Burton, and Director of Field Operations for BPL, Sterling Moss. Great to have you both with us. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Strawn, and good morning to your listeners.
Great to have you with us all. All right, so let's get a little bit of background information about Carolec. Let's begin with that, and tell us about it and what it does and how it came about.
Okay, thank you so much. A pleasant good morning to you and to your listeners. Thank you so much for hosting us this morning. Carolec is really the Caribbean Regional Electric Utility Association. It is now 32 years in existence, and it was established to be the representative body of electric utilities across the English, French, Dutch-speaking Caribbean, with one or two members in the Spanish-speaking territories as well. So Carolec has 33 member utilities, including BPL, of course, across the region. And what we do mainly as an association would be advocacy, capacity building, networking via conferences. We have a robust online portal, the Carolec Renewable Energy Community, where we promote capacity building in renewable energy and energy efficiency. And so as an industry body, we are quite active throughout the region on an annual basis. And we have at least 6 highlight events each year, in addition to numerous capacity building training activities that we undertake as an association.
Okay, all right, that's very exciting. We're going to get to the conference in just a bit. Just want to ask you about what we're seeing across the region in terms of trends, what's changing, and where we see the energy sector going over the beyond.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. Based on the trends that are occurring, Carolec itself undertook a significant repositioning, actually. Our current strategic plan, which we rolled out from 2018, saw the repositioning of the association, actually, where I made reference to it starting off as an association of electric utilities. We are now actually an association of electric energy solution providers.
Wow.
And what that meant in actuality is that we have included 2 additional membership categories. So in addition to the electric utility membership category that I spoke of previously with 33 electric utility members, we also now have, well, in addition, we had also associate members, which would be suppliers, vendors, manufacturers in the sector, which would be regional and international companies that supply inputs, materials, fuel, oil, etc., to the sector. We now have an additional membership category for what is known as independent power producers. And that is a significant repositioning of the association in that independent power producers are those companies that would come in, investors that would seek to basically liberalize the generation segment of the market. So you could have an IPP, an independent power producer, producing electricity either through traditional sources or most likely these days through renewable energy means, whether it's solar, wind, hydro, what have you, and selling that electricity to the incumbent utility. So in that context, we actually now have what would previously be considered as competitors to the electric utility as members of this same association in a category and with also representation on the board of CARELEC. So what is to reposition the association as a broader grouping of industry players as opposed to just a body representing the incumbent electric utilities, given to your question, the changes that are occurring in the market as it relates to distributed generation, independent power producers coming into the market, the use of solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and other technologies for generating electricity. CARELEC as an association saw it fit to basically broaden the tent and seek to represent the interests of all the major energy players as we seek to transition the energy distribution mix to be more sustainable, more green, and more economically efficient and resilient for the future.
Have those changes been well received by the traditional electric utilities, or is it are we experiencing growing pains?
Well, no, very well received, to be honest, because the truth is I was sort of brought in to assist with those changes. My background actually is not even really in the energy sector. My background is in change management. And when I went through the interview process, I could say, quite frankly, the board of directors, who were exclusively utility CEOs, made it clear that they wanted that change to take effect. And over the last 4 years, we have made some strides, as I indicated. And it has been well received by the incumbent electric utilities. We are of the view that the transitioning has to be, first of all, consultative and collaborative, as opposed to combative and confrontational. And secondly, we are promoting evidence-based approach to the transitioning through the use of what is called integrated resource plans, meaning looking at the projected demand for electricity, the supply options, and coming into evidence-based decision as to what would be the best generation mix for each territory based on their, I would say, asset base, based on the capacity for generating electricity from multiple sources. So in the Bahamas, that mix will be different from what it is in Dominica that has a geothermal option. It will be different from St. Vincent, where you have hydro with massive rivers, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, that was going to be my question. So it's not a one solution for everybody in the whole region.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So that's correct. So that's what we're promoting, an evidence-based approach, using the data, looking at the resource capabilities of each jurisdiction, and coming up with what would be that optimal energy mix, both in terms of sustainability, resilience, and affordability, because these investments obviously come at a cost, and ensuring that we have the right mix across the region based on a consultative, collaborative, evidence-based approach to that energy transitioning that we seek as a region.
Now, some are going to say this is the Caribbean, so there's plenty of sun for everybody. Why not just focus on solar?
Yeah, that's the thing. That solar will always remain one of the leading candidates, but the truth is, as we all know, the sun only shines for part of the day, right? And so, when we look at the penetration of renewable energy sources, solar is obviously one of the leading candidates, but there are also other considerations in terms of storage, battery storage. We know obviously the price of batteries are going down, so that presents a very good business case for solar. But again, in terms of the footprint required for the solar plants, we have to trade that off against the alternative uses of the valuable real estate that the solar plants will take, given the generation capacity square footage. So for example, Bahamas, for example, is a tourism destination. Sometimes considerations need to be given in what is called green versus green consideration. So do we go green with solar, or do we go green with a national park that would attract tourists, thousands of tourists to our shores? Do we set up solar plants offshore or on land? So solar itself is not a simple consideration as the sun is shining and so we go solar. There are lots of technical considerations in terms of connectivity to the grid stability, intermittency. So even on a sunny day and a cloud cover passes through for a few hours, you have problems with solar generation, obviously. So there are multiple considerations, and that's why we promote looking at an evidence-based mix that would be reliable, so you won't have outages because you have a rainy day or you have a bad weather system going through for a few days, or you have cloud cover going through at a peak time when there is demand for electricity. You look at battery storage as part of the mix. And again, like I said, you look at other options that are emerging, including ocean tidal wave technology. In some jurisdictions, there's geothermal and hydro options. Obviously, wind, offshore wind is now coming on stream, where you put the wind turbines in the ocean, off land. Given, like I said, the competing uses of land space in small island territories like we have, you have land rights and ownership issues in many countries that are challenging in terms of when you have to set up a viable wind farm or a viable solar park, given the square footage that is needed. So lots of technical considerations that we are promoting needs to be addressed head on. Again, and I'm being repetitive here, in a consultative manner, the policymakers, regulators, and the utilities, the investors who are seeking to come into the market. We are confident that if we speak with each other, to each other, as opposed to at each other and past each other, as governments, regulators, power producers, we can, as a region, come up with the optimal energy mix that is relevant and appropriate on a jurisdictional basis.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Burton, I know you mentioned it, and a few minutes ago, I want you to go back to that. And Sterling Moss, you can jump in here as well. So far, what we're seeing as a possible energy mix for the Bahamas. Remind us what you said there, and let's talk about that and how we got there at this point so far.
I'll defer to Sterling on this one, since it's Bahamas specific.
All right, Sterling Moss.
Yeah, so good morning again. So, our government pledged in the utility market here in the Bahamas to have a 30% solar or renewable energy penetration by 2030. And so when you look at what's happening in the Bahamas right now, for instance, and right here in our own country, we have a BESS project that's continuing. That will, by 2023, provide us with battery energy storage. You've known what's happening in the Ragged Island context as well, that we have a solar microgrid in Ragged Island. And so to support what Dr. Burton has been saying, as a country, we are also looking at the various types of generation mix, which will be a combination of renewable energies. Plus, we're modernizing ourselves with the battery energy storage, which will support the solar systems that we are installing. Dr. Burton talked about how that is going to be critical for us because cloud cover is not consistent. And so the same points that Dr. Burton has been indicating is what we're supporting here at BPL as well.
Mm-hmm. The last time we talked about this, we got a texter who said we see our Atlantic exposed islands, like Eleuthera, the Glass Window Bridge, and the how turbulent the Atlantic is. there, that there must be something we can do to harness that energy, hydro, there. Is that an option? Are we considering that at all?
There has been some consideration. My COO, Mr. Burlington Strawn, would be a good one to address that. I don't have the recent data, but I'd be curious. It'd be good to hear Dr. Burton talk about what's happening in the other countries in the region for BPL. The consideration has been that is not a primary consideration for us at this time, but I'm sure it's on the table. So be curious to hear Dr. Burton talk about what other small island nations are doing as well.
Dr. Burton, when it comes to hydro, tell us about that.
Yes, well, again, as we suggested, it will be region-specific or territory-specific. We do have well-established hydro facilities in St. Vincent, in Guyana, to some extent in Belize, where we have adequate rainfall over the course of a year, and facilities for storage, dam-like facilities to generate electricity from hydro. So again, that is well established in a few territories. And as part of the mix in the Eastern Caribbean is the push for geothermal that has been long in the making. We have seen breakthroughs in the French territories of Guadeloupe and to a lesser extent Martinique. Dominica is hoping to make some breakthrough in that regard, as well as Nevis. So we have geothermal emerging as a possible breakthrough and game changer, because we have what is called base load requirements, which would be good for non-intermittent type generation, meaning that it's consistent in terms of generation as opposed to intermittent, as in the solar and wind. And so the interest is in some of these game changer breakthrough technologies like geothermal, hydro, and to some extent ocean wave technology is being looked at as well. Various studies funded by the IDB, Inter-American Development Bank, and the CDB have done studies to look at the ocean technology potential, both offshore wind, offshore solar, and ocean wave technology itself, OTEC.
Okay, very exciting. We're going to get to the conference, I promise you, in just a moment. But seeing that in the U.S. and other parts of the world, even though they've sort of fallen out of favor, out of fashion, a renewed interest in nuclear generation, nuclear power generation. Is that a possibility at all for this region?
As far as I'm aware, that has not been explored to this point, and not on the cards for the foreseeable future.
Okay. All right. Any other things that are happening that consumers need to be paying attention to in the Caribbean and need to keep in mind?
Oh, yes. Well, one of the big ones before we get to the actual event is the whole concept of energy efficiency. And sometimes the emphasis is, I would say, disproportionately on renewable energy, forgetting that the cleanest form of energy is that we don't use, meaning the best way to saving or being economical in the use of energy. And so energy efficiency provides an opportunity for, first of all, consumers to have lower electricity bills, and businesses by being more efficient in their usage of energy. And also it is beneficial, strangely enough, some persons don't quite understand, for the incumbent utility as well. The notion is sometimes, well, how could an electricity company that makes money off selling electricity have any interest in energy efficiency? But they do, for various reasons. Well, first and foremost, we recall that the inputs into the generation of electricity is largely payments for imported fuel. And most jurisdictions have a pass-through mechanism. And so the utility doesn't really make that much money off wastage of electricity, because most of it is going towards the cost of imported fuel. And so it's in the incumbent utility's interest for there to be energy efficiency, because it suggests that we're using energy in a productive way, both at the household and more so the commercial industrial level, which means that the economy would perform better, and it would be in utilities' interest that their customers are better able to pay their light bills if they are more productive in their operations, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
in other words, it's in the incumbent utilities' interest for there to be energy efficiency on the part of the users, and also the utility itself has an interest, obviously, in being as efficient as possible in its operations as it seeks to generate electricity to meet the growing demand. And also energy efficiency helps the utility to offset or defer investments that would be, I would say, quote unquote, needlessly because of wastage or inefficient use of energy. So all around, energy efficiency is really something that we are promoting. We actually have a project going on now in the overseas Caribbean territories funded by the EU, where we are promoting energy efficiency in households, providing training for persons to conduct energy audits, and also looking at various modalities for increasing energy efficiency through household, residential use, and commercial use as well. So that's really a major component of what we promote as well, and often overlooked when we talk about energy matters and energy transitioning.
Sterling Ross, I know BPL has had a number of programs trying to bring about energy usage awareness. How are we doing here? Is the public getting it? Have you seen changes in mindset and behavior?
Yeah, so one of the things, as you know, we have been encouraging our customers through various forums that we would undertake, some community groups, to talk about energy efficiency. And so what we've been seeing, the move towards the use of energy efficient appliances. You see that LED lighting now is a major issue, and you can go to most Bahamian homes and find it. We are introducing LED lights, more efficient equipment. Consumers are very concerned about the cost of electricity. And so we have been selling and stating to our customers throughout the Commonwealth the importance of really making sure you secure energy efficient appliances, and then adopting practices regarding how you utilize your equipment. Some forums we would go to, we would talk to customers about just a simple ironing, how you'd run an iron. You know, people would iron every day for a week, and we talk about, you know, maybe just one ironing process through 1 day a week, how that can lower your energy consumption. And also encouraging our customers to really think long-term in terms of, don't just think cost of an appliance, but think of the value of what an energy-efficient appliance can do for you. So I think the trend has been catching, and we are seeing our customers becoming more energy efficient conscious, but more work is needed.
All right, wonderful. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get to the conference. We get all the details about that as we talk with our guests from Carolec, Dr. Cletus Burton, and from BPL, Sterling Moss. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Mosquitoes becoming an issue? Strachan Commercial Pest Services is the #1 service provider for vanquishing those annoying bugs. Mosquitoes are more than a nuisance. They're also a health risk, transmitting diseases including malaria, dengue fever, and even the West Nile virus. With accredited verified training and technology, Strachan will deal with the conditions that invite mosquitoes, tackle current infestations, and stop their life cycle, therefore reducing the number of mosquitoes on your corporate property. Strachan, #1 in pest control services.
History has taught us that in crisis, humanity will always respond with innovation. What world-changing technologies will emerge from humanity's latest challenges? How can the Caribbean capitalize on the metaverse, blockchain, hybrid work, and more? Join us at the RF Economic Outlook Conference under the theme Future Forces, World-Changing Ideas, where we will explore the future of technology and more. The journey begins on June 8th. Reserve your seat today at www.rfeoc.com.
Play this record as frequently as possible.
Friday, May 20th, it's time to feel good.
It's Star 106 and Four Walls.
Feel Good Friday. Classic. The Star 106 Anniversary Edition.
Happening at the Four Walls Squash and Social Club Village Road.
It's the after work.
I got so early vibes.
Vintage.
Block Party.
Exclusively for the grown and sexy.
With the best in throwback classics.
Happening at the new Outdoor Terrace Bar at Four Walls.
Limited tickets on sale now at the Nassau Guardian and Four Walls for $20 in advance.
Come out early to enjoy the open room bar from 5 to 6 p.m.
This is a strictly cashless party.
So bring your old school dancing moves with your new school payment options.
Feel Good Fridays. Friday, May 20th.
I used to think of the bank as my personal ATM machine. If I wanted a new car, new furniture, a weekend trip to Miami, no problem. Just max out the credit card or top up my loan. I was a big baller until I realized that 75% of my salary was going to pay back all those loans. Fidelity's personal financial coaching was the best solution. Fidelity gave me a plan with a debt consolidation loan that has a built-in savings that pays 5% interest. I now only have one low monthly payment, plus money in my pocket. Give Fidelity Bank a call at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit any of Fidelity's locations or visit a website at fidelitygroup.com.
Boy, you know what going down tomorrow?
Nobody, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Boy, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you want?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Boy, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, how many boys coming for me next?
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I avoid?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go to no ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and you can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
The city of Miami is waiting for you, and Island Pay wants to take you there. Yes, you heard that correctly. Island Pay is giving away 5 priceless trips to Miami for 2 people just for using your MasterCard prepaid card. Every $30 you spend gets you a chance to win. Whether it's on groceries, gas, diapers, clothes, gifts, online, and others, it's all counting and getting you closer to an unforgettable experience in Miami. Don't have an Island Pay MasterCard yet? No problem. Get yours today. And Island Pay will give you $15 back. Island Pay, a better way to pay, a better way to win. Promotion running March 21st to May 18, 2022. Conditions apply. Visit islandpay.com to learn more.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
It is time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Government hopes to have a plan in place before the end of this fiscal year to thwart the pension fund insolvency threat at National Insurance Board. That's according to Economic Affairs Minister Michael Halkitis, who says that they think they have a possible solution. Halkitis says the government is committed to solving the issue of NIB's depleting pension fund after it is eroded by successive governments. You can read all about it in today's Guardian business section. The country needs a long-term growth rate of 3 to 5%, exclusive of the growth numbers the country has been seeing as it rebounds from the COVID pandemic. That's according to Minister Halkitis. In its latest Article 4 consultation concluding statement, the IMF contends the country will slump back into a low-growth trend into as far as 2027, projecting only 1.5% growth each year. Halkitis says it is in the country's best interest to break this trend. Stronger pension legislation could have reduced the severe impact of the double crises of Hurricane Dorian and the COVID pandemic. That's according to CFAL President Anthony Ferguson. CFAL has long called for legislation to be enacted that would make provisions for pension plans mandatory for Bahamian workers, if only in certain categories. Ferguson says he has worked with successive administrations over the years to solidify a framework for the establishment and management of privately funded, segregated pensions and pension plans, but no progress has been made. Port and Housing Minister Jo Beth Colby Davis is again defending the Davis administration's first housing development, Pinecrest subdivision, after complaints surfaced that the area is flood-prone. Videos shared widely on social media in the past week depicted partially constructed homes with large puddles of pooled rainwater, raising concerns. Speaking to reporters before yesterday's weekly cabinet meeting, Colby Davis says that while she does not want to acknowledge silliness, her words, the government has a drainage plan that the Ministry of Works will implement during Phase 2 of the project's development. Read more on all of these stories in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, the European Union will no longer require masks to be worn at airports and on planes starting next week, amid the easing of coronavirus restrictions across the bloc. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency says it hoped the joint decision made with the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control would mark a, quote, big step forward in the normalization of air travel for passengers and crews. The new guideline takes account the latest developments in the pandemic, in particular the level of vaccination and naturally acquired immunity, and the accompanying lifting of restrictions in a growing number of European countries. Passengers were being advised, though, to behave responsibly and respect the choices of others around them. While the new recommendations take effect on May 16th, rules for masks may still vary by airline beyond that date if they fly to or from destinations where the rules are different. And inflation in the U.S. slowed in April after 7 months of relentless gains, a tentative sign that price increases may be peaking in households. Consumer prices jumped 8.3% last month from 12 months earlier, according to the Labor Department. That was below the 8.5% year-over-year surge in March, which was the highest rate since 1981. On a month-to-month basis, prices rose 0.3% from March to April, a still elevated rate, but the smallest increase in 8 months. Wednesday's report contained some cautionary signs that inflation may be becoming more entrenched. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, so-called core prices jumped 0.6% from March to April, twice the 0.3% rise from February to March. Those increases were fueled by spiking prices for airline tickets, hotel rooms, and new cars. Rental costs also rose sharply. Over the past year, grocery prices have shot up 10.8%, the largest such year-over-year increase since 1980. And the cost of a gallon of gas in the U.S. fell 6.1% in April, but still up nearly 44% from a year ago. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Tuesday, your market movers, Cable Bahamas moving 5,000 shares, up 5 cents to 330. Commonwealth Bank moving 53,500, down 7 cents to 275. Consolidated Water unchanged at 214. Emira Incorporated unchanged at 1184. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,297.20, down 8.26. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, Morning Blend Business. Dwight Strachan, along with Chester Robards. We are talking with Dr. Cletus Burton with Carolec and Sterling Moss with BPL. And as we've been telling you, there is a major conference coming up. Let's get some of the details on this. How often do you have this conference?
Event, and obviously we were in a hiatus for the last 2 years due to COVID, where we had to suspend all of our face-to-face events. And so we are coming back after a 2-year lull. This year, we chose the Bahamas as an exciting destination. We'll be at the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island. From actually Sunday will be the quarterly board meeting of the Carolec Board of Directors. That will commence on Sunday throughout the course of the day. And then we'll have the opening ceremony for the conference on Sunday evening with various government officials in attendance. And then the conference itself starts on Monday. It's actually a double-header event, so to speak. We have the CEOs and Leadership Conference from Monday to Wednesday, the 18th, and an exciting overlapping event for corporate governance, and that is targeted at board directors, CEOs, company secretaries, legal officers on the 18th and the 19th, where we're looking at corporate governance issues that we could talk about a little in greater detail as to what that will entail. But it's really a CEOs and Leadership Conference doubled up with a corporate governance. We'll have a certification course going on the first day with a team from the Arthur Lockjack Graduate School of Business from the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. So it will be a certified course on the first day. And then we'll have a roundtable and also a high-level presentation from a team of attorneys from our executive platinum sponsor, a local firm of Higgs & Johnson. We have a team of attorneys from that law firm that will be doing a reinforced presentation on the second day on corporate governance, role and responsibility of board of directors, relationship between boards and management, etc. So all happening in the Bahamas from Sunday through to Thursday next week.
Wow, this is a big deal. Okay. How many people are you anticipating will be taking part in this?
Well, usually the attendance for our CEOs conference is in the region of 150 to 170. We're not yet quite at that number yet, so we are still open for registration. We have a special registration rate for residents of the Bahamas, significantly discounted from the usual rate that we would apply for regional and international participants. So there are still spaces for registration, and I'm sure on your end you would have that link and the method of registration for interested participants at the local level. I should say though, the theme for the conference, the main conference, is Leadership Matters, Living and Learning Through Disruption and Dislocation. And I'm sure that would resonate with not just the energy sector, but across all sectors. We chose a theme that would apply not just to the energy sector, but will also be applicable for almost any sector, whether it's tourism, health, manufacturing, financial services. We're indeed living and learning through disruption and dislocation, not just due to the COVID-19 pandemic, mind you, but obviously, as we spoke a while ago, through the changes in technology, changes in the financial markets, etc., changes in technology, cybersecurity threats. We'll also have several presentations on enhancing cybersecurity as part of good governance. So we have three main blocks for the main event from the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. We have 3 blocks: one, technology, looking at disruption, crisis, change, and adaptation. We have a block 2 where we look at mental wellness and mental health issues related to coping with crises such as the pandemic, such as Category 5 storms passing through. We know that this has an impact on persons' emotional and mental wellness. And block 3 looks squarely at the issue of leadership and transitioning, the role of visioning, strategic planning, telecommuting, alternative work arrangements that are emerging due to the protocols imposed by the pandemic. So really, we're looking at a wide range of key issues related to leadership, related to corporate governance, cybersecurity, and how we adapt at the organizational and national levels.
Okay, all right. Very exciting stuff. Dr. Burton, you mentioned this earlier about the independent power producers. Somebody's asking here on our text line, is there a size requirement for a company like that, independent power producer, to join Carelec? How does that?
Yes.
How do you go about that? And can you be a part of this conference?
That's a great question. So the independent power producer category, it's an industry term, and it is normally, as I said, for large that would generate and sell electricity exclusively to the utility. So the criteria for membership in Carelec is over 5 megawatts of generation capacity, and that entity should have what is called a long-term power purchase agreement, PPA, with the utility in that jurisdiction. So we presently have 8 independent power producers in membership operating across 5 jurisdictions in the Caribbean region, Jamaica, Trinidad, Antigua, Dominican Republic, etc. But also now we have another exciting new category for the smaller scale producers, what we call prosumers, persons who may just have a solar rooftop array, or businesses that are generating for self-consumption or selling back to the grid, where the markets provide for that through the legislative framework. And so we have launched this year, actually, an additional category for individual membership. Never before we've had that category of membership in the association. We've always had corporate membership. So obviously the utility members would be based on utility companies. Associate members would be based on companies that do business with utilities. IPPs, the same thing. But this individual membership category at much more affordable membership rates with tremendous benefits gives individual, and in that category, we have 4 classes of membership. So we have a student class in the individual category. So undergrad students, postgrad students who have an interest or are studying in the field of electrical engineering or renewable energy can join Carelec and be a member in their own standing, in their own name, as a member of Carelec, as a regional association. So that's student membership. We have also academic for lecturers and researchers at universities. So University of Bahamas, if they're lecturers who have an interest in renewable energy or anything, become a member of Carelec and benefit from concessionary rates and networking, information exchange. When they have to do research and data collection, we'd provide, obviously, contact information to assist in that regard. And then we have a individual consultant professional. So you, like I said, your PV installers, your prosumers, anyone who has an interest in that sector on a small scale, doesn't have to be on any large scale, could join up as an individual member. And the 4th class in that category is for honorary and honorary lifetime members, because we have found, like other sectors, and actually something we notice is almost endemic to the region, we don't learn as much as we could from the wisdom of our elders. Persons walk out the door after retirement with tons of knowledge and experiences, all in their heads, but not documented anywhere. And we're said to have a very oral culture in the region. We are not known for extensive research and documentation and publication. So we said, let's have this honorary and honorary lifetime membership category, so we could at least keep the stalwarts of the industry engaged, so that we could learn from them even more so sometimes than when they were in active practice, because you know the constraints of speaking frankly, speaking truth to power in public, so that these retired CEOs and professionals could come back in and remain connected to the industry, mentor and coach upcoming leaders. We have a coaching program that we have launched at Carelec, leadership coaching, executive coaching, performance coaching, where we intend to draw from those stalwarts vast array of knowledge and experiences. And they could continue to serve on our various board committees and help us with capacity building, knowledge sharing. So it's an intergenerational sort of knowledge management framework. So from the students, all be part of this association where we share information and knowledge and learn lessons from the past. We don't repeat mistakes from the past. We try to emulate best practice across the region. As you've heard, we are from the South America continent, Suriname, Guyana, up to Bermuda, across to Belize and Bahamas and Barbados, everywhere in between. So there's this opportunity for rich knowledge sharing in the region. where we could share and learn from each other's experiences. And that's what will be coming to bear next week in the Bahamas from our various presenters and keynote speakers.
That's great. Okay, so earlier I asked you about the members and you named the countries. So with the individuals, how many do you have?
Oh, well, we just launched that category like 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
So we're just opening up and we're promoting. We want to really, the honorary and honorary lifetime membership will be awarded, bestowed on persons. It's not by application.
Okay.
So now we're in the process of sensitizing the tertiary institutions in the region, sending out our membership application forms, and sensitizing persons to fill up that category over the coming months. So it's only just been launched.
All right, this has the potential to be very big. I can imagine.
Yes, we think so. We think transformational too, because what the sector will look like 10, 15 years from now might be significantly different than how it was 10 years ago. So again, as an association, we have to position ourselves as the technology and the market forces unfold, that we will maintain our relevance and our utility, our contribution to knowledge sharing and sustainability in the region.
Okay, so this is all very exciting, and so Sterling, I'm sure a lot of Bahamians want to be a part of this. How can Bahamians be a part of all that's going to be happening right here in the Bahamas next week?
Hey, thanks, Dwight. If you want information on how you can be a part of this conference, you can visit BPL's website, co.com, Bravo, Papa, Lima, Charlie, Oscar.com. You can also visit carolac.org, and you can register at that site as well on BPL's website. There's a link, and you just click on that link, and you can be assisted in registering for this stellar conference.
And this is for everybody, right?
That's correct.
All right. This is great stuff, wonderful stuff, and again, right here in the Bahamas. All right, so I've got to ask you this. Hurricane season, just weeks away now. Tell us about what Carolac does during that time of year for your members, all of whom are can be impacted by hurricanes, or most of whom. Let's talk about that.
Okay, great question. Well, it's actually what Carolac does before that time of year comes. That's what's more important, right?
Wonderful.
So we have several things. We have an established Carolac Disaster Assistance Program, as you may be aware, CDAP. It's based on mutual assistance. We have 27 of the 33 participating utilities as members of the CDAP, where they contribute, in addition to the annual subscription, they contribute an additional amount to go specifically towards a disaster fund. And what that disaster fund is used for is to pay for the expenses associated with ramping up manpower assistance to an affected territory post-disaster. So with an impending storm approaching, we mobilize resources, find out who's available, crews from different jurisdictions across the region. They are on standby, bags are packed, and ready to be deployed should a request from assistance be received from any affected member utility. Deployments from the CDAP over the last 2 decades.
Wow.
And the good thing about that program, because it's sort of pre-funded, at the time of the disaster that's affecting the member utility, they get that ramp-up support of up to 70 plus, 100 plus line workers, line crews coming in from across the region to provide assistance in restoring the electricity supply in the quickest possible time, quickest and safest possible time, let me add. And so they don't have to expend financial resources at that point because they've already contributed to the fund on a mutual assistance basis. So Carolac takes care of all of the logistics, the airfare, the transportation of any equipment and tools and so on. And all the receiving utility would have to do is to arrange for ground transportation, accommodation, and meals, of course, for the line crews that are on the ground to assist. So that's one major flagship program that Carolac has had over the last 2 decades plus, that's worked out tremendously well for member utilities in a post-disaster scenario. Now, during the course of the year, obviously, emergency management, disaster management is a life cycle. So we don't wait for now in May to prepare for the hurricane season, obviously. So we have line worker certification going on all year round. We just had a capacity building series that's still ongoing, actually, where we trained about 140 plus line workers across the region, ramping up the capacity for disaster response by training now even private contractors. So we got grant funding to train not only the line worker crews at our member utilities, but also so we're providing now free training for private contractors who do line work, vegetation management across about 12 jurisdictions across the region as we speak. We also have a disaster coordinators roundtable where we look at preparedness plans. We are also part of a regional framework with CDEMA, the Caribbean Emergency Disaster Response Management Agency, where we collaborate in terms of disaster planning and response. We're also now developing through a major consultancy, emergency response strategy and action plan for the energy sector. That consultancy is on the way now. We're expecting the first draft of the report very shortly. And what that seeks to do is to basically provide more coordination and streamlining of the disaster response effort. We have found that over the years, very well-intentioned efforts sometimes leads to some unintended negative consequences in persons almost tripping over each other's feet. Post-disaster, everybody's rushing in to assist, as I said, well-intentioned, but without a coordinated strategy and action plan, it could actually be less efficient than it could otherwise be. So we're looking at the international players who come in to assist, regional players, national. We know we have our NEMOs, the National Emergency Response Agencies. We have CDEMA, we have CARILEC, we have friendly governments, we have donor agencies, all in the mix. And so what we're trying to do is to articulate a comprehensive strategy and action plan beyond just CARILEC. Now, we've done lots of things within the realm of CARILEC, but we've extended this now to look at a interagency, a multi-agency approach, multi-sectoral approach to disaster response and planning. And that's what we are now putting the finishing touches on, that will serve us for many years to come. So a few more things we could highlight, but we also have a point person for our communications and disaster management in-house now, Ms. Karen Piper, who is basically coordinating our communications and disaster management effort. And she's our go-to person for all things related to disaster coordination and communications.
Excellent. All right, so we've got about 15 seconds. So really quickly remind folks what's going to be happening beginning Sunday right here in the Bahamas with CARILEC.
Okay, so beginning Sunday, major conference, board meeting of CARILEC Board of Directors. Sunday evening, the opening ceremony for the conference. Monday to Wednesday, focus on CEOs, leadership matters, living and learning through disruption and dislocation. Overlapping event, corporate governance for all board directors, anybody who serves on a board in the Bahamas, all CEOs, corporate secretaries, legal officers, emphasis on corporate governance. We're looking to beef up the capacity for good governance, looking at the roles and responsibilities of board of directors, looking at the board and top management interaction, the relationship between strategy and governance, how corporate governance could impact positively on organizational performance. We're looking at the critical role of the company secretary and outlining current thinking and developments in the field of corporate governance like diversity, ethics, sustainability. So a rich array of topics from Sunday evening through to Thursday next week, all happening at the Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island in the Bahamas.
Wonderful stuff. And Sterling, those websites again, if you want to register.
Well, on our end, it would be carilec.org. You just look for events, and the registration link would be very much on the banner scrolling across. Mm-hmm. And I'll leave the last word to my dear friend Sterling to give the access point from the Bahamian point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pplco.com, PPL's website. You can click on the link. And let me just say, we are glad to be with CARILEC. They've been very beneficial. We've had a very CARILEC over these many years.
Excellent stuff. It's been a pleasure talking with both of you, Dr. Cletus Burton. Great to have you, and I hope you have a wonderful time in the Bahamas. And Sterling Moss, always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Chester Robards.
Yeah.
For Morning Blend Business.
Just want to say good morning to Teresa Minus.
Okay.
Say hi. Hope you have a good day.
Good morning, Teresa. Yes, and I hope everybody has a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next, right here on Guardian Radio 96.9.